You think crocodiles are scary today? Wait until you hear about this group of ferocious prehistoric predators. Meteorinkids, such as the Agiosaurus, were a group of aquatic predators and are the ancestors of the modern crocodile. These animals lived a fascinating life due to the environment they lived in and how they evolved. Ancestors of the Metriorhynchid started in water before moving to land, before moving back into the water. Animals like Metriorhynchids that return to water after evolving on land are known as secondary aquatic animals. Because of this, they have a really specific set of very strange traits. Unlike the modern crocodile, these animals traded their limbs for fins and so spent all their lives underwater. They even got rid of their scaly armor known as osteoderms to better swim. But due to their past lives as land animals, Metriorhynchids had lungs rather than gills. This would have been a huge disadvantage compared to their other aquatic peers who didn't need to surface to breathe. Luckily for these reptiles, they instead developed lighter skeleton, which helped them float to the surface much easier. If you think flip-flopping between land and sea is weird, moving back into water for Metriorhynchids had many advantages. I mean, imagine having to compete in a land full of dinosaurs. Returning to sea meant less competition with other predators for food, and less predators who want to eat you. And Metriorhynchids aren't the only strange crocodilian from eons ago. Take a look at this one that ran on hooves. Unlike crocodiles today, the Boverisuchus hunted their prey in a completely different, more frightening way. They had flat, jagged teeth. Unlike the cone-shaped teeth you see in modern crocodiles, these teeth were made not just to grab prey, but to bite into its flesh too. But the main event here is its legs that stood much taller, especially its hind legs. And rather than claws, each of this reptile's toes had hooves to better push off the ground. Its longer hind legs probably meant that these crocodiles could run on 2 legs, and therefore sprint even faster than on the 4 modern crocodiles run around on, which mind you isn't anything to scoff at either. Is this animal a bird or a lizard? That might seem like an easy question, but for paleontologists, it's a question that is asked very many times, especially for this species of bird. No, lizard? The Triassic Drepanosaurus had a very confusing set of features that have left folks scratching their heads when it comes to figuring out what kind of animal they actually are. These animals had a long chameleon-like tail, grasping hands, and an arched back that would lead many to think that these animals were lizards. However, their heads would tell a different story. Drepanosaurs had pointed snouts, much closer to modern birds than lizards, big eyes, and some even had beaks rather than teeth. Their necks even had saddle-shaped vertebrae that also resembled birds. This had many paleontologists believing that these animals, like dinosaurs, are ancestors of birds we see today. Finally, in 2017 we got our answer with a fossil named Avicranium that showed that Drepanosaur skulls were a lot more different to birds than we thought, and a lot more close to early reptiles. The dead ringer part in the pun was that these reptiles lacked any eardrums common in birds. In fact, we'd find out these animals were actually one of the earliest known reptiles, outdating even lizards. If I asked you to guess what kind of animal this creature is, what would you say? Mammal? Reptile? What if I told you that this prehistoric animal might have been venomous? This animal belongs to a group that has existed millions of years before even mammals started showing up, the Therapsids. Therapsids are a group of animals that also includes mammals like hippos and even us humans. What makes this prehistoric Therapsid interesting is found inside its skull. Paleontologists noticed that the Euchambersia lacked molars, only having 10 incisors. It was clear then that the Euchambersia's signature move wasn't teeth that could rip and tear like the earlier mentioned Boverisuchus. Something else must have dealt the killing blow. What makes this Therapsid different to any other record of this group during its time is its fossa. 2 ridges on the side of its skull that could have housed venom sacs that connect to the fossa. Of course, it could have housed a different organ that has been lost in time, something that senses heat or enhances smell maybe. But the popular idea is that this Therapsid, with its hippo-like rounded snout, was most likely venomous.